while. So here we go. We are covering the JCB. There's treasure inside. That's what we're going to cover today. We're going to specifically talk about some D&D related topics as far as it relates to uh, the past and the future box. Talk about some ideas that I've maybe teased around, floated around, but I feel they've condensed enough to make something present worthy. All right. A little bit more esoteric today, a little bit more abstract, not too much like lines, coordinates, or a specific solve. So here we go. We're talking about the past and future box. Starts on page 222, which I think is very interesting, but I haven't really made any solid connections. I'm not gonna go into where I think it is just yet. You'll see what I mean by talking about it, but I'm still thinking Northern California is hey, what's up, mom? How you doing? I'm still thinking hey, what's up, Becky? How you doing? I'm still thinking Northern California. Okay, so we were talking about D&D last time a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, specifically a solo play, and so I had some really hey Lorraine, good morning. I had some really good discussions last night or early this morning with some people online, and it helped me really consolidate some thoughts. So again, I have my best thoughts out after engaging with the community. And one of the things I thought about that I want to present, and I don't think anybody's said before, or I haven't heard anyways, is the concept of a mimic. So after working Justin's hunt for a while and really putting a lot of calories and time and effort in that one, this hunt seems a little bit more esoteric in general. It seems a little more, the solve seems to have more steps, a little bit more complicated. I mean, I haven't heard anything where JCB said, this could be solved by a child, or a child could get this solved, versus what Justin said. So I'm going down this rabbit hole of a mimic in Dungeons and Dragons. And for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a really brief bird's eye view of the concept of a mimic. And the concept of a mimic in at least common deep Dungeons and Dragons play. Afzal, what's going on, man? How you doing? 20 push-ups right now. Yeah, I'm gonna pause on that, but we'll get to those later. The concept of a mimic is that it's the players have to go through a situation, and they have to interact most of the times with a non-living object. All right. Uh, and a non-living object would be like a door, a treasure chest, a chair, something non-alive, and the players interact with it, right? The dungeon master, all right, would put the players in a situation, a room, or they get to the end of a hallway where there's a locked door, or into a room where there's a treasure chest, so that he's encouraging them to interact with it, and when they interact with it, it turns out to be a monster, right? So they open the door, and the door handle turns into like a mouth and bites them, or they see the treasure chest, they open the treasure chest, and it turns into a monster and like tries to eat someone. So that's the whole concept of a mimic. It's a monster that mimics something, a common object, right? And the player is relaxed and he gets involved with it. What's the subject of today's talk? Oh, today we're talking about There's Treasure Inside by John Collins Black. We're specifically talking about the chapter The Past and the Future box, which is on page 222 of the hardback. And we're relating a few Dungeons and Dragons themes because those are one of the games. Again, the reason why, which I'm glad we brought up. Hey, Ken, how you doing? I'm glad Gamer Forever brought this up because for those of you who are new to the channel or have no idea what we're talking about, this is a six-figure treasure hunt, and this John Collins Black has hidden 5 boxes out in America. So if you're not from America, you probably have a hard time physically getting your hands on one of these boxes, but you can still play along with the videos. The treasure pack. Good morning. And he mentions, this is the bottom of page 225, direct quote. However, I was able to remember one game from my childhood that I felt capable of bringing to this book. It's not as fun as Pac-Man. It's in italics. It's not as imaginative as Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a game I'm pretty sure you can excel at. Don't get upset at me if it's too easy. And then he's showing a word search on this page. All right. So, BG Gamer, what's going on? Where am I from? Living in Maryland right now. Genealogically, historically, my family is from Texas. So that's why we're going down the Dungeons and Dragons rabbit hole. Also, one of the very first interviews that JCB did was Dungeons and Dragons based. Right, talks a lot about that. Pixel plays what's going on. Shanique, how you doing? So that's why we're going down the Dungeons and Dragons rabbit hole to see how it applies to the book. See if we can find some clues from this chapter, and get an idea where this box is. All right, because people have torn this thing apart all sorts of ways, and haven't really come up with anything yet. So we're gonna try to take another angle as it applies. One of the things that's been said a lot is JCB is throwing out intentional red herrings, or he's being misleading. Some people have gone to the extreme as saying he's a liar. I don't know if I'd go that far, because in my mind he's playing a game with us, right? He's the dungeon master, and he's setting traps and mimics, right? When you yes, Pixel plays, yeah, we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, how it applies right now, and to the past and the future box. So that's the box we're talking about, the past and the future box. Shout out, shout out, shout out. What's going on, man? Himbus, Doru, what's going on? How you doing? Shout out. All right. Careful not to spam shout out too many times, or something will happen, like you'll get quieted or something like that. All right. So again, the concept of traps and mimics is, I think, is fair game, especially because he's inviting us to play his game, where he's kind of in charge of setting all the rules. So I think we need to be careful of that. How that would apply, like you're saying, okay, well, Dungeons and Dragons is it's interactive. How can a book, right, trap me? And this is an idea I've put forward before, that the trap is a rabbit hole, right? It's which could be a literal trap if you're walking down like a hallway and there's don't step on this pressure plate or you'll fall into a pit, right? It could be a rabbit hole. So in my mind, that's what I think as traps or misleads, which is he encourages you to go to a direction, right? He introduces you to a situation, right? The word hunt, right? So he's like, okay, here's the chapter. I'm going to introduce you into something really easy. He lures you into a false sense of security, and then in that word search is a mimic, right? Something that looks like something else, right? So I think some of the words and hidden anagrams and possible cipher solves, I think, are mimics, because how can you put forward that, it's not a coincidence that this entire sentence is in here, or this specific word is clearly visible. So in my mind, that's how I at least am equating it and making it make sense, because people have gone down those roads. People have gone to that trail. People for months now. People have searched the area and come up empty. So now they're thinking, well, is he being intentionally throwing out red herrings? And I'm saying, well, if you look at the games he's inviting us to play, right, one of them is Dungeons and Dragons, is the dungeon master, the person in charge, is often intentionally not misleading, but it's a dungeon, right? So there are dangers you have to watch out for. You have to stay up really late. Yeah, that's another one. Shanique saying hi. Oh, okay, all right. I'll watch out for that. If he keeps spamming, then I'll go ahead and mute it. All right. The other thing we are talking about is at the introduction, because I think whenever you look at a specific box, right, you should read the introduction to part 2, which is on page 200, a nice even number. And we've talked about this sentence a lot before. Page 201, the bottom. Kimberly and I quite enjoy puzzles, riddles, mysteries, escape rooms, and board games. All right. In this spirit, I've taken creative license to have some fun. So again, the bottom line is we're always looking for fun. But those are the 5 things that I think apply. I go back and forth whether each 5 lines up nicely, neatly to a box, or there's 4 that apply to a box, and one of them, so one box will have 2 elements, is what I'm saying, right? And I think I haven't really changed my mind that much on what game applies to what box, right? I think it's pretty, in my mind, it makes sense. A riddle would align nicely to a poem, right? The mystery aligns nicely to the Pokemon, and that leaves puzzles, escape rooms, and board games. And I think a puzzle applies nicely to the AT trail. That one might be a little bit new, and the reason why I focus on the puzzles, because while the map is clear, we have all these little symbols, and it reminds me of a puzzle where you have to like align symbols together. So I like the way that fits. So that leaves escape rooms and board games, and I think it's just esoteric enough or just a little bit abstract to fit nicely to the past and the future because we have a word search, right? So how is a word search an escape room or a board game? And I think it fits nicely with Dungeons and Dragons, right? The two games he tells us because they're repeated twice. Dungeons and Dragons and Pac-Man is repeated twice. So Dungeons and Dragons is all about going into rooms, right? Escape room. It's a little bit weak, right? It's not strongest. And board games, we clearly have a board. He mentions Pac-Man. This one's also a little bit weak. And Pac-Man takes place on the same board that it goes through, and you're left as the player, as the little Pac-Man. I don't know if he's called something. As you're the Pac-Man, you're the player, and you're moving your piece around. Another reason why I like board games with past and future is because we have a lot of numbers, right? And what happens with most board games have dice. D&D has dice, so that's something that they share in common. It'd be awesome if the word dice appeared in the word search, but we have a bunch of numbers, and that could be dice rolls, right? Here we go. What else? What did I miss in the chat? Love to hear theories. Girls next. Bye. What is up to Nick? Random. I see you, man. I see you. But also I can say what's up, Nick. Some theories like game theory. AKA Matt Paz, a great guy that makes good content. He retired sadly. I I got excited when you said game theory because I enjoy game theory, but you're talking about the actual channel, Matt Pat. But I've seen a few of his stuff, a few of his videos. It's pretty good. Go back to school, kid. Bishop. Sancho, what's going on? Pickled Pickla. That's a cool name. Pickled Pickla. Thank you, man. Appreciate the love. The lady dude, the camouflage face, his face. Camouflage. Camouflage. Dance. I'm a terrible dancer. Although we were talking about the floss because the floss is like a metronome, but that ties into another treasure hunt, Justin Posey with the metronome. So we were talking about dancing the floss. It took me like 3 years to learn how to floss, but you don't want to see it. It'll probably break the camera. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna move on. I've talked about the Dungeons and Dragons stuff for a little bit. We'll circle back to that if anybody wants me to repeat some stuff or go a little bit deeper. But I do want to go on the board game concept a little bit because I think this just hit me like last night, early this morning. Is that what if board game is just a way to tell us to look at the board as it's set up? Because right, most games when you play a board, you have to set it up, right? So you take it out the box, whether it's Monopoly, Life, Risk, there's a setup phase, right? So you take the board out, but most of the time it's not ready to play as is. You have to rearrange, put the cards here, put the pieces here. So what if the setup piece is us color coding, right, in Excel, which I think I can turn this around, right? What if this is the setup, right? Is color coding your words, finding the anagram, and maybe the message isn't so much as what the anagram is, but it's all about setting up the board and looking at the board because the more I look at this board, especially if you use the right colors, right, in Excel or you can do it on a grayscale, it's fine too. But I kind of see, and again, this might be a little bit far out there, a valley, right, a topographical map with a valley. It just seems like there's the words are concentrated, right? So the words are concentrated like here and here, and you can do this. Hey, what's up, Tyler? You can do this at home if you have the copy of the word search, and if you don't have the book, the word search is available online in Discord channels. So do it yourself. Circle or highlight or whatever you want the words that are found, and you'll see kind of a cluster. All right, a cluster of empty spaces in the top right and the bottom left. And so those two clusters kind of look like two raised elevations, especially when you start getting into looking at the circles that are left over, because the circles are concentrated in the middle. So you have three layers or three topographical levels with three clear indicators of the words found, the anagram, and then the leftovers. And they kind of form, I mean, almost like a valley, or depending on which is high, which is low, right? So you have two concentrations here and here. Then you have a band that goes down the middle with the concentration of the O's in the middle. So I'm just trying to think. I'm thinking a little bit more abstractly this morning about board games and setting them up, because it's the concept of applying a board game to a treasure hunt, especially words in a chapter. It's difficult to wrap your head around because if I give everyone a copy of Monopoly or Sorry and I say play the game, everyone's game is going to look different, right? And so how do you know which is the correct one, which is the correct solve? But if I tell everyone to set up the game, board game, Monopoly, or Sorry, everyone's going to set up the same because you're going to follow the instructions, right? So in my mind, that's how a board game metaphor or analogy could apply to this particular chapter. Is that it's not so much playing it, it's the setup. All right, so that's kind of the big for this morning, right? Is thinking about the setup of the game and how the board game looks as versus actually playing it out. Right, and we have plenty of mimics. I mean, we've got codes, we've got Caesar shifts, we've got mysterious phrases and sentences that apply up. What did I miss here? Thanks, Lorraine. Coral, what's going on, Coral? 5 minutes at Freddy's, Horror Game Pizza, animatronics, like this idea. But yeah, this is kind of a shorter video. Again, haven't had much breakthroughs, much luck with There's Treasure Inside. I'm excited for the interview tonight. If you guys follow Emma and Jam with, I blank on the name of the channel. If anyone remembers it, type it in the chat so I can say it right now. It's Treasure Hunt with Us. No, Let's Treasure Hunt with Us. I'm blanking on it. Emma and Jam, brother and sister. They run a YouTube channel. I'll throw it in the comments. Treasure Hunt with Us. Yeah, that is right. Okay, yeah. So if anyone, that's tonight. I think like, I don't know, 7 or 8 o'clock. But you can search their channel, Treasure Hunt with Us. They're going to interview JCB tonight. So it'll be his first interview in a while. He hasn't done an interview, so I advise everyone to watch it. Show the channel some love. I'm going to watch it myself and see what we can gain. I think this is a nice little, after everyone's had a month or two of Justin, let's just shift the lens a little bit, look back at JCB and see if we can shake our minds and any new theories come out. All right, guys. Appreciate it. This was a kind of a quicker one, but the basic, if you're just walking in, the bullet points are Dungeons and Dragons, not red dragons, not red herrings, but mimics or traps in a dungeon. And then the other one is board games, because he said so, because that's how he applies. That's we're supposed to be thinking like. And not so much how to play, but the setup of the board game. Look at, think of popular board games that you used to play, think of ones that he would play, and think about how you set them up. There's always moving pieces here or there, getting the board just right, which I think could be why he said Excel, and why there seems to be, you have all the pieces scrambled up, right? You open the box, that's your crossword. You have to arrange everything just right. You have to color code it. You have to organize it. And that's kind of the theme here. All right, Emery, what's going on, man? Becky, all right, cool. Thanks, guys. See you guys later. Bye.